Welcome to the Dream Journal. From the studios of KSQD in Santa Cruz, California, the Dream Journal is a show where we explore the healing powers of your nighttime dreams through conversations with dream experts and with you. In the words of Carl Jung, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. Today's music is called Ubiquitol. Created new every week by Rick Kleffel. How does the divine show up in your dreams? How does trauma? The Dream Journal today hosts a conversation about the wisdom of the soul with astrologer and dreamworker Jill Eris. Let the exploration of self and soul begin. I am your host, Catherine Bell of Experiential Dreamwork, and welcome to the Dream Journal. Welcome today, new listeners to KCXU Community Radio of San Jose. Welcome to the Dream Journal tribe. The Dream Journal is also a weekly podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and review, but most importantly, tell your friends. Maybe they don't know you're interested in dreams. Maybe you didn't know that they were interested in dreams. If you tell them about the podcast, it gives you a chance to talk about it. You can also find archives on the KSQD website at ksqd.org/the-dream-journal. So, starting with my personal dream work. Well, I have just really strong in my mind a dream this week that I've been feeling. I've been having feeling angry at a friend, and I've been like kind of praying to my dreams to give me some guidance there, and really wanting to reconnect and work it out. And the dream that I had yesterday morning is just really strongly in my mind right now. And this friend and I are looking up at a strange bird cage kind of in the ceiling, but it's open to the outside. It's like a bird feeder. And there's this bird that's this strange orange bird with red circles around its eyes, but it's young, but it's kind of large. And this friend and I are looking together at the bird. And really that's the only time the friend shows up in the dream, but I really take a little hope, please hope, that we're both looking in the same direction and there's no sign of strife between us. So I'm really hoping we can work it out, because this friend is really special to me, and I'm just holding that vision of us standing side by side, looking at this mysterious bird in the ceiling. So that's what I'm working with today, feeling a little sad and hopeful. Yeah. Okay, so we will be taking call-ins during the last 30 minutes of the show. I'll give you information about that soon, but you can email us at any time at onair@ksqd.org, and Rick Kleffel is standing by to check those emails. That's onair@ksqd.org. All right, I'd like to welcome Jill Eris to the show. Hello, Jill.
Hello, Catherine.
Hey, great.
Hey. So good to be here. Thank you.
Oh, it's so good to have you on the show. I'm really delighted. This has been a long time brewing, but we made it.
I know. It's amazing how quickly time does go.
Oh, I know. Thank goodness for that, I guess.
Yes. If we arrived here together, then I'm grateful. Yes.
That's it. So let me read you a little bit about Jill. Jill Eris was led into her exploration of the soul as a young child, responding to inherent curiosity and longings to know exactly what the solar system was trying to tell her. Jill discovers and works with the soul's language as an astrologer with the wisdom of the soul astrology. She frequently brings dreams into astrology sessions, as well as sessions committed wholeheartedly to the soul message of the dream. The birth chart and the dream are the blueprints of our truth brought to consciousness for exploration. And you can find Jill Eris at wisdomofthesoulastrology.com. She's also on Instagram at wisdomofthesoulastrology. So, Jill Eris, Well, so tell me about your exploration as a young child. I would love to hear the story of how you got started with dreams and with astrology.
Yeah, thank you, Catherine. Some of well, all of it as a little girl, like 3-4 years old, I was being guided in a way that I didn't understand, but I was an early reader, and in the library I was asking for books on Saturn, which many years later I understand the irony of seeking Saturn. Saturn is the great teacher. And and so the librarian just looked at me like, this little girl wants Saturn. All right, we'll give her Saturn. So I just started.
Well, how old were you at the time?
I was 4.
4. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah, and I was intrigued by the pictures. I was intrigued by the astronomy information. It didn't have astrology content, but as I got older, there was no context in my early childhood environment for anything esoteric, but the esoteric was calling me. It was speaking to me, and I was having moments of confusion in circles with other children, of feeling that we were all one energy, and I didn't understand the separateness of being in a separate body from other people. So I had moments of losing consciousness in the circle time, and yeah, it was. And then as I got older, that part of me started to I learned how to turn that off, or there wasn't a space for that in my life. But I kept my astrology, my personal education going, especially after my college years, and I started speaking astrology to other people. And finally, a good friend of mine pointed out that it was potentially helpful to others to bring it to them in sessions, and so I started to do that.
Okay.
And then dreams came in differently. When I was, again, very young, the only dream that I really remembered from my childhood was a dream that was really terrifying to me, of being on a dark road in a car, in the backseat of the car, probably like my father's blue Pinto, and all of a sudden there's an enormous monster in the road, stopping the car. It's like a huge Frankenstein, but like a million feet tall to me. Wow. And that was the one dream I remember. Dreams were not really calling me at that time. As I got older in my childhood, I started getting angry at God, and I think I was shutting down dreams a lot. And it wasn't until I was about 40 years old, I'll give you context, I'm 55 now, when I began my second marriage, that I started to see behaviors in myself that were really disturbing to me. And at the same time, synchronistically, another good friend said, well, I started working with this wonderful dream person, and here's his book. It was Roger Kamenetz, and have a chat with Roger. And I started to without really knowing what was happening to me, it was happening. I didn't know why I was taking out books on Saturn. I just knew I had to. I didn't really know why I was going into these sessions. I just knew it was opening without my thinking, without my rational mind dictating it. And then the two sides of the calling started to unfold for me very quickly. I mean, I don't think I was working with dreams for even a few months when my heart was just broken open about dreams. And I dove in.
So by two sides of the calling, you mean dreams and astrology? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. And the way that they work together. And then as I got to know my next Dreamwork mentor, who was Mark Bregman, he also brought astrology into the work, and so I felt this validation of astrology has a place in understanding the blueprint and the language of each part of the dreams of astrology. They have their unique language, and for me, they blend together in the way that it feels almost like an alchemy for me. That the dream and the natal chart, or the birth blueprint, which is simply the snapshot of the sky at the date, time, and place of your birth, those systems for me became like a synergistic process.
Okay, how do you use them together? I wonder if you have an example or something, or
yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, what happens for me usually with people is that I tend to like to meet people where they are.
Yeah.
So I don't really bring a particular agenda to the process. I know I have these tools. So when somebody comes into a session with me, or if a couple sometimes like to work astrology and dreams together, I will wait and see where their intuition is taking them first. And we start to unpack wherever they are. So the birth chart is that blueprint to guide us in to where that person is experiencing themselves and their world, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And then the dreams tend to complement that, or vice versa. So it's letting it unfold with whoever is in the room. And for me, I try to kind of take myself out of it, and I know that the dream is the expert. So if the dream wants to be in the room first, the dream comes first. If the chart needs to come first, it comes first, and then we work them together. The blueprint of the chart for me is a validating instrument for what we're feeling in a dream as well.
Okay, so you would then review a chart like before a session, and
well, I used to, Catherine. I used to review charts. No, not at this point. I find that I do my best work when I don't review materials ahead of time.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm so grateful that there are wonderful systems, like time passages, where I just put the information in and the chart is cast. It's in my file. I bring it up when I'm ready. It's not like, 500 years ago where you had to, cast your own chart. I'm sure you would be very good at that, Catherine. That's not my strong suit. Right. So, I leave, even, with dreams, my clients will text me or email me dreams. I try not to look at anything until I'm in session.
Not even the dreams?
Not even the dreams. I mean, during my training, certainly, of course, I was doing that and learning the process. But now that it's working through me, that my brain doesn't really have to be in charge too much. It's
lucky you. I'm a preparer. I need to look in advance.
Well, I think we all have our own process that works. And for me, every time I prepare, I feel like I stumble or make there's no mistakes, but I feel like I'm with my own inner guide.
Yes.
When I don't prepare and I trust. Trusting has been one of the hardest things in this incarnation for me to work on. Yeah.
This might be bringing us to soul. Like you call wisdom of the soul astrology. And what is the soul? What do you want to say about the soul? Is that part of what you're trusting when you trust?
Yeah, you're going to make me cry right away. Yeah, I mean, the soul, like when I look into your eyes and you look into mine, like that eternal part of ourselves that is all-knowing and never changing. And, like we have this evidence that our bodies keep changing from conception to death, but, the one part of us that doesn't change is the soul. And the work that I hope I'm doing is to keep pulling back all of the veils and the layers and the gunk that gets, that heaps on us in this dimension, this reality that we live in, and that we've come here to experience that polarity, that contrast, to remember what our souls, who our souls are, what they are, what they want for us, how they want us to live in the bliss of that self-awareness and that self-knowledge. I mean, self with a capital S. So for me, the soul is just this precious part of us that God, however an individual thinks of God or creation, or however a person thinks about it, is a very unique and personal experience. For me, I use the word God, that God created my soul very purposely, very consciously, and it's sacred to me. And so this work of talking to people about soul matters and soul work it is the highest privilege for me to join in on that level. And if I don't keep goals for people, but if I were to have a goal, it would be to retrieve their awareness of their soul.
Right, because it's always there, right? It's just
it's always
awareness.
There. Exactly.
So I want to get to, and this I think ties into one of the things that we wanted to talk about, which is the nature of divine in dreams, the nature of God. Is this the same as the nature of the soul? And how is that related to trauma? Like divine and trauma, they seem so, I don't know, opposite. I don't know.
Well, it is so interesting for me. Trauma is, it's a huge buzzword right now in the world, and for good reason. I think we've come to a time in human development where we can really talk about what a wound is. And in astrology, we look at the asteroid Chiron, the wounded healer, to understand more about the individual's trauma and wound. And there's that old saying, where the trauma breaks us open, it's where we're cracked open so the light can come through us. So that it creates our individual gifts to bring to the world. Do you think so, Catherine?
Oh, I think there is ways. I mean, yes, it's like the oyster, the sand in the oyster that makes the pearl. Like there's something, and and that this is the grit, the pain that creates the beauty of our lives. And if it's not one thing, it's another. So I don't think that we can ever thank one particular incident. I don't hope we never thank anything traumatic that happened to us. I don't think anything that should ever happen. But stuff does happen.
It does.
And, on this earthly plane, we are not in bliss. Things happen.
Yeah. It's a hard place to be. And it's, I think that what I understand about the divine and trauma is that if we are the light, and if there is an opposing force, that we could call it dark for whatever we want to, just for contrast. Maybe the dark is using trauma to help separate us from the divine. And if we are willing to engage and look at what trauma is, and we can see where the separation from the divine happened, we could potentially say, all right, so what is this trauma supposed to actually do for me? It's probably not actually supposed to divide me. It's supposed to help me become more whole. Maybe. So it's this possibility that the event that caused me to break open to the most horrific pain, it usually happens when we're children, when we don't have language or tools for how we need to be supported. If we can go back in there, with which dreams guide us to do at our own rate of ability to face into it, then we can understand what happened, maybe literally, sometimes not, right? Depends on the dreamer and the way their dreams present. We can go back into the pain safely, with support, with love, which is where the divine comes in. Because I don't know what you feel about this, Catherine, but I've always seen archetypal or divine, however you want to think about it, support come into the dreamer's experience through the dream at the same time that they're opening to experience the trauma wound. So the person is almost, I've never seen it, where a person is left alone without divine love to support them.
No, I would say not always in the same dream.
Not always in the same dream, but in that kind of storyboard that happens of like consecutive dreams. Sometimes the divine comes first to really love the person up, to say this is safe. Sometimes it comes directly after. Sometimes in the night, that person will have a series of dreams. They'll be like, you can't believe I had this and then I had that. And like, yes, because that's how much you are loved. This is all about being loved through the trauma. So that the trauma becomes this beautiful, golden, alchemical light that comes through the person, so that their unique gifts are manifest in the world, rather than allowing the trauma to impede us and keep us terrified of going near the pain. So that's for me, like, how, I hope that makes sense the way I said it, but
well, sometimes even in really difficult dreams, there can be a moment where there's like a pause, or where somebody offers something, even if it doesn't get accepted, that can be like a kind of a keyhole, or like a chink in the armor, and that they do tend to come together. I feel like I'd like to get some examples here, and I wonder if this would be a time to try to tie in the topic that you suggested of how dreams saved my marriage. I wonder if this would be an opportunity to bring it up.
Not to be overly dramatic or anything. Yeah, I do have a musical theater background, I should disclose, so I do tend to think of everything in terms of song and dance in my head. Well, so how did they save my marriage?
Yeah.
So right back in the beginning, when I was, embarking on this second marriage, I was still unresolved and completely unconscious about my own behaviors. Mm-hmm. So for me, I had a lot of anger, a tremendous amount of anger. And anger for me was sitting at the tippy top of an iceberg of, we'll just call it, my trauma mass was underneath the surface, right? Mm-hmm. And I didn't know. Right. And so the very first dream I worked was one where I was with my daughter, who was at the time, so she would have been 9 or 10 years old at the time. And I took a washing machine and I threw it at her.
A washing machine? Oh my! Mm-hmm. This was the dream. I hope, not waking life.
This was the dream.
Wow.
Yes, I definitely don't have the strength, and hopefully would never actually do that to any other human being. But in my dream, I was like, the Herculean strength of my anger was so, like, I became this other, like a Hulk, like the embodiment of my anger, my rage just filled me. And of course, what was the question? Is that a familiar feeling? And of course, I said, well, yes, actually it is. So I was learning how I was using anger to stay away from dealing with my pre-existing condition of pain. I didn't even know anything about my pain. I didn't know what the problems were. I was really, for a person who had been exploring astrology for a long time, I didn't get, I was really missing a lot of the messages in my own chart until I started to study dreams.
Okay.
And so by me understanding that I had anger issues, which, by the way, I did not want to deal with for a long time. It took me years to say my anger is a bad thing.
Oh?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. It took you years to say your anger is a bad thing?
Yes. It took years of working with dreams.
Do you mean a good thing?
I thought that my anger was helping me.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And so, I apologize for being confusing about that.
I guess I have the opposite situation, which is
do you?
Which is where anger is is totally anathema. Like, no, anger is not allowed. No, I don't dare do that. No.
Right. So you have to bring some in. Right?
Yes, totally. So interesting. So we have very opposite views.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that's why it's all different for each dreamer.
Yes.
And for me, it was like, I empowered and protected myself by being rageful.
Okay, yeah.
And who would receive that from me but my daughter, the only other female in the house? We were, heavy on the masculine, and she and I were the only female in the house. There were 4 males, and even the dog was in the masculine. So,
right.
It was in my life. It was all like women just ping-ponging anger all over the place, being just angry, shrewish types of mother figures. And I thought that was correct behavior. That's how I'm going to survive. And I didn't want to let it go, but it was continually creating distance between myself and my husband. And initially I would say, well, this is me, take me or leave me. Better. And even at that point I was like, fine, leave me. I don't care. This is how I'm going to be. But that's how terrified I was to give up my persona, which the dream was showing me this persona. And I even enacted that dream in a group setting where we did that together at the time. And I got to feel what it was like. And I got to feel my attachment to that darkness or that persona or ego, or however whatever your pathology, however you want to look at it, that part that I took on when I was traumatized as a child, this hardened shell around me, like not even a shell, like brick, concrete, that I didn't want to let it go. So dreams initially showed me patiently. I mean, dreams for me are so incredibly patient and so persistent and will never give up, because if they didn't give up on me, they're not giving up on anybody, because I did not want to give that anger up. And and in contrast, my husband, who also has worked with his dreams, he wouldn't feel any anger. So I was feeling all the anger for both of us. And we both had good reason, like most people do, to have some anger, to have some healthy anger. So as my anger started to subside, he got to feel more of his feelings, and he got to feel safer with me. And I got to feel safer being who I am.
Right. Wow.
And at the same time, I started having dreams where the divine was coming to me, and I like to call him the animus, because that's just where my training is. So that resonates for me. And he was coming in and he was tricking me right in the beginning. He was teasing me. He was coaxing me. He gave me, like in one dream, he gave me an engagement ring. He proposed to me with this, excuse my language, this crappy little ring. And I was like, I like a really beautiful ring. Right. I like pretty things. And I just said, no, I don't want your ring. And, my Dreamwork mentor said to me, well, maybe it's not about the ring. Did you ever give that a little thought? Yeah. He's like, maybe you're missing something here.
Yeah.
So my judgmental mind, how things are supposed to look and how things are supposed to be, all of that over the last 15 years has completely shape-shifted.
And that's where the coach can come in, of course, and give you some perspective, because it seems perfectly natural to the dreamer. So Jill Ayers, this is amazing, and we're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back. I'd love to hear more about this, and we'll opening up the phones in just a minute. But in the meantime, Steve Pop is here in the room. This is the Dream Journal, and this is our last day of pledging.
It is our last day of pledging, but you know what, Catherine? It doesn't mean that because our drive ends today that you can't keep donating to KSQD.
Absolutely. We don't have to come on the air as frequently if we get pledges throughout the year, and that's one way you can actually help by doing a recurring pledge. That
Absolutely.
Really is helpful.
Absolutely, the sustaining pledges, and we're about community here. We're community supported, and there are about 80 of us that are all volunteering our time to make this community happen, and this community radio.
Absolutely.
Very important, and we need not just your donations to make this acquisition of these new signals possible that are going to have our broadcast will be able to be picked up all across the Monterey Bay area, but we also need your help with our operating expenses. And we do this just twice a year, in the spring and in the fall, and we're entirely dependent upon your support.
That's right. There is no other funding agency. There is no government plan that supports us.
We don't sell commercials.
Nope.
We're commercial free, and it's through your support. And it's not that difficult to make a donation, is it, Catherine?
That's very true. You can call, that's 831-900-5773, or you can go online and do ksqd.org so you won't miss a single word.
That's right. You just hit that donate button on the site, and it'll take you through a couple of different steps. You can choose the way you'd like to make a donation.
Fabulous. And, giving a pledge right now is letting the station know that you appreciate the Dream Journal, and nowhere else that we produce the Dream Journal. There's no other dream radio show that I know of anywhere. There's podcasts, and this show does become a podcast, but any show that originates as a radio show, I believe that we're the only ones.
I think you are, and this is truly unique. Get those pledges in, call us at 831-900-900-5773. That's 900-KSQD.
All right, we're going to get right back to the Dream Journal, but I also want to open up the phones to callers. If you have a question or a dream to share, please give us a call. It's that same number, 831-900-5773, and Tony knows how to sort things out so that we will get you to the board if you want to talk on the show. And he'll take your pledge if you'd like to make a pledge. You can also send an email to onair@ksqd.org, and Rick will be checking the email throughout the show. All right, you are listening to the Dream Journal, and we are broadcast live from the KSQD studios in Santa Cruz. And my guest today is Jill Eris, and we have on the phone Kelly from Virginia. That's it. Thank you. Kelly, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hi.
Hi, thanks for calling.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. So I have worked with Jill, astrology and Dreamwork, and I'm actually calling in with a dream.
Oh, thank you, Kelly. Wonderful.
So, do you want me to give you my dream?
What do you think, Jill? You ready?
Oh, I'm so ready. Hi, Kelly. Hi.
Hi, Jill.
So happy you're here. Yeah.
It's great to be here. I was looking at a bed with a couple in the bed. They weren't anybody I recognized. And the male in particular, I can't see. But the female, I know she had dark hair. And she was in labor. She was having a baby. And there were times where she looked, pregnant and rounded in the belly. And then she was, in active labor, and she was pushing the baby out, and she inhaled, and her belly went away, and I was at the foot of the bed, and through the mattress, the body came through, the baby, but it didn't feel like a baby. It felt bigger than a baby, and I mean, more than anything, I saw the feet coming through first. So that's it.
Oh, wow. Oh, Catherine, we love the baby dreams.
Yes, indeed, baby dreams. Yeah.
And Kelly and I have been working together for quite some time. So, I have the context inside of me, right, of the body of Kelly's work, and it's been so tender and miraculous to be a part of Kelly and your journey. All of this time, and you have just made a big move, right, from one part of the country to the other, and it's a big deal, right?
Yeah, very big deal. Yeah,
so a complete change of life, and which makes so much sense looking at this dream, right? To see this moment. So how do you feel at the beginning of the dream, Kelly, when it starts?
I was relaxed. I was curious. I was, again, just always, like the way she was pushing, it was like she made her belly go concave. And so it was just like, the pregnancy went away. Like she was able to bring her belly in, as a pregnant woman, you can't do that.
No, that's true.
No.
So it was just, it was fascinating, really, but bizarre too, because this baby came out of the mattress, like a hole in the mattress, like almost, and there was a white coating on the human, and I can't say it was a baby because it felt almost a little bit bigger than the baby.
Yeah.
But
wow, what do you mean? Like, can you give us a feeling, or
it didn't feel tiny and delicate. It just felt a little larger than, like a little more substantial, not in a scary way or a bizarre way, although, now in my waking moment it is bizarre, but in the dream it just was like, wow, like, and I really was focused on the feet coming out, and the feet were baby-ish,
The feet came out. The feet came out first.
Yes. yes, that's all I saw, really. I didn't see the whole human come out. It was just the feet, and then I guess, whatever, I woke up or I moved to a different part of my dream, but that was really all I could remember.
Yeah. It's, I love how relaxed and curious you feel at the beginning of the dream.
Yeah.
Is it, I think I know the answer to this because I know your work, but is this a new feeling or not a new feeling? Relaxed, curious.
Oh, it's such a new feeling, and it's the most amazing feeling. I was just telling my husband how bizarrely happy I am in this world that I resisted so much to come to. Like, I'm here and I'm like, I love everything about this little town and like people waving and all the things that I'm like, I'm not a small town girl, I'm from New Jersey, and I'm like, oh my God. Yeah.
Bizarrely happy. I love that. So we resist that, don't we? It's so true.
Yes.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I feel like that's what dreams want to give us, the gift of our own joy. Mm-hmm. When we come through all of the parts of the persona that we've let go of and experiencing trauma and being healed by the divine and trusting until I got to watch Kelly totally transform her life into a place where you weren't expecting. Like, we just didn't know how this moment would happen, what the transformation would be, and letting go and trusting has been so much a part of your process, right, Kelly?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the divine came through so many dreams to heal your fear, and you kept trusting in that process. And now you've made this massive change in your life of leaving New Jersey to be with your husband in Virginia, and your children are in New Jersey, right? Adult children, and that's so now leaving, not having left them in your heart, but leaving them on the day-to-day basis. Here's another child.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? It's so fascinating how easy it is to give birth to this child now, and that you're amazed by the power of the woman.
Yes. Yeah.
Like,
true.
She makes it look so easy. Right? It's that easy. It's become these moments, not that there aren't going to be other challenges in life, but they're being met from a different context. Like you are with you.
Yeah.
Right? This woman, can you imagine being her? Is that something that's accessible to you, or?
I mean, I think if I really dug deep, I guess right now I'm a little nervous. I'm on the phone.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
But I can definitely see myself. Yeah, and I was, I wasn't at all uncomfortable watching them. Like, I was a voyeur, but I was not. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like I belonged there in a way.
Yeah.
So,
you definitely, Catherine, we know she belongs there, right?
Yes, absolutely.
But what's really interesting also to me are those feet. Mm-hmm. All right, how about you, Catherine? Are you feeling that?
No, absolutely. I'm very curious about the feet coming first. Of course, in waking life, a feet first birth is very, very dangerous. But in this case, it's easy. And it's interesting that the feet are all that I see in the dream. So there's something about this, like, am I learning my feet? Am I even seeing my soles? The soles of my feet?
I know, it's so brilliant. The dream is so brilliant.
Yeah, what part of me am I giving birth to in my new life in Virginia?
Ooh.
Wow.
Oh, I just got chills from you saying that, Catherine. The soles of the feet. Oh, it's so tender what the dreams do.
I have one other thing I'd like to ask Kelly about, if that's okay, Kelly?
Sure. Yeah.
So what is it like to have the man in the bed with the woman? Because the first thing you said is there was a couple in a bed, and I'm thinking, oh, couple in a bed. Oh, and the woman's giving birth. But the man is in bed with the woman, and is he like off on the side of the bed? Does he have his arms around her, or what is he?
No, it's so funny. He's on the next to her, but not touching her. He's very relaxed. He's on his back. And I am so compelled, even though I don't have a clear picture, like I know he was light-haired, like he was blonde.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I know. And he wasn't participating, but I don't think he was, I didn't feel any negative feeling from him. It was just like they were both in the bed and just having a baby.
Yeah.
What do you make of that, Catherine?
Oh, I just get so much support,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
and that this, you know, usually the men are far from the birthing room, like even in this modern era, it's kind of intimidating. And yet here, not only in the birthing room, but in the bed with me, or with a part of me that's giving birth. And so there's of course the aspects of the divine, and then there's aspects of my husband, and all the support that I've been getting from the masculine and from the divine during this huge transition as I'm giving birth.
Wow.
Yeah. A lot of sense, actually.
Yeah. Do you feel those feet? Can you feel into being?
They're delicious, pink, beautiful feet. Like that's all I see. Like, you know how they're almost like translucent. Sometimes you see through them. Like that's they were like pink and there was light in them. You know, like I don't know, like thin skinned. I don't know, but really pretty, but not scary. Beautiful feet. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, and feet. I mean, the sole of the foot too in Chinese medicine is the most yin part of the body. It's the most tender part. We're in acupuncture, we actually never needle that point because it is so tender. So for me, just thinking through like all these modalities that I love, that you're bringing forward this most tender part, and it's translucent and it's pink, and it's like when I think of pink, I think of the heart center. You know, the purity and the juiciness of a translucent, exposed heart, which is the scariest thing for people to have. I see, you know, over and over again how dreams are trying to bring us back to that tender, open heart that we cover up, which I certainly covered up with lots of anger. And to come, so here, this incredible feet first, soul first, as Catherine said, you know, juicy, beautiful, soft pink presentation with the support of your partner, animus figure. I mean, it's so perfect.
So what's up for you now, Kelly? What is it like to be sharing this and to be kind of experiencing the dream again with others to support you?
Oh, it's always amazing, and I you know, I've been doing this with Jill for a long time, and it always is so exciting when I because you know your dreams, at least for me, they wax and wane. Like sometimes I have, you know, dream after dream after dream, and you know, I can go on and on and on, and then there are times where I have like a dream drought, and you know, last night was just such a vivid dream, and I woke up this morning and I told my husband because I didn't want to forget it. I was so excited about it, and so when I share it, I mean, sometimes this dream in particular, it was just so I just couldn't make heads or tails of it, you know. So it's always really nice to give it to Jill and unpack it, and then see how it just ties in with my life, and it makes so much sense because I do feel supported, and literally just had that conversation with my husband, like how just blissfully happy I am right now. Like I almost don't, like I'm afraid to feel so happy. You know, it's just not so usual.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you've really spent the summer really, really working that edge, Kelly, of feeling into all of the support that was in front of you, but, you know, difficult to let it in.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So you've done it, though. You did that piece of work, and it reflects in the dream. So.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. I really enjoyed sharing it with you guys.
Well, thank you, Kelly. I'm really glad that you called. It really makes these experiences so much richer to have dreams to work with and people who are comfortable to share. And thank you for taking the risk to make that call.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you.
Take care.
Take
Bye,
care.
Kelly.
Bye.
Bye.
What an amazing dream. That's so beautiful that she shared that. Yes. Thank you, Jill. Yeah, so what do you want our listeners to know about you, and how can they get in touch with you?
Well, what can they know about me? I mean, it is truly my honor to walk through the sacred landscape of dreams and astrology with people. I mean, it's me really living in my joy and my bliss to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So whoever chooses or feels called to contact me, it's just so deliciously, a major honor for me.
Right.
And people can find me on the website, wisdomofthesouleastrology.com. They can send me an email if they'd like, jill@wisdomofthesouleastrology.com, or they could call me or text me, 408-944-5676. So it's all on the website.
Wonderful.
And yeah, we just start wherever you are. There's no right way or wrong way. There's just whatever the way that person is feeling called and ready to start a process. It's a healing process. These tools are a healing experience. They're systems for people that just happens to be the language I speak and I resonate with, and so I love the opportunity to be a part of that kind of transformation.
Right. So any last minute words of encouragement for our listeners?
Yes, I would say that all things are possible. Mm-hmm. That when a person is feeling at their deepest sense of loss or pain, it's the best time at rock bottom to reach a hand up.
Right.
And I know that feeling from the inside. I've worked hard to reclaim my life, and it's worth the work.
Yeah.
That we are each worth the work, and that is why the divine gave us these tools, because we are worth it, and the dreams are designed for us.
Yeah, they are designed for us. And thank you so much, Jill Eris.
Catherine, I'm so thankful to be with you. Thank you.
All right, take care. Let's be in touch.
You too,
huh?
Absolutely.
Okay, fabulous. So next week we will have on the show Jarrett Bouillon, who is an author of An Everyday Cult. Jarrett specializes in cult recovery and education and is the co-founder of the #IGotOut movement. Tune in to the live broadcast next week at 10, or catch the podcast replay, which will be released, as always, on the Monday following the show. I am Catherine Bell, and this has been the Dream Journal. Thanks for listening. You can find out about my own dream coaching practice at experientialdreamwork.com. Email me at catherine@ksqd.org. That's KATHERINE@ksqd.org. Please contact me so we can talk about dreams, and so I can let you know about my upcoming dream offerings. The Dream Journal is produced at the studios of KSQD in Santa Cruz, California. Archives and 24/7 live streaming at ksqd.org. I'd like to thank Rick Kleffel, engineer and music creator. You can find the ambient music at pandemia.com. I'd like to thank Tony Russamano, Eva Milady. The intro music is Water Over Stones. Outro music is Everything, both by Mood Science. Join me again next Saturday at 10. And tomorrow morning when you wake up, take a minute to write down your dream and bring it to the next Dream Journal.